can't help us think of anything here.
Can we get through the pledge and at least through the first 2 or 3 items before anybody shows up? Okay, let's go for it. I call this meeting to order at 6:01 on the city's clock. Roll call.
Chairman Cox.
Here.
Vice Chairman Rajaratnam.
Here.
Commissioner Yates.
Here.
Commissioner Sanders.
Here.
Commissioner Ferris.
Here.
5 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Chief McLaughlin, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
Second.
Chairman Cox.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Commissioner Yates.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanders.
Aye.
Commissioner Ferris.
Aye.
5 ayes. Motion carries.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Just have one observation. Ms. Panprajit was there. Her name wasn't there at the staff present.
Where are you at?
Right here. Right, Heather? She should be there.
What now?
You were there for the last meeting, right?
Yes.
Are you Contreras? Are you Contreras? No.
Go. So you want to make that change? Under staff?
Hello? Hello, this is Colin O'Neill.
Hi, Colin. This is Chairman Cox. We welcome you to
Hello,
our
Chairman
meeting.
Cox.
We welcome you to our meeting. Interesting
But-
enough, we don't have any public with us tonight.
Huh, okay.
So hopefully we'll get through this real quickly.
All righty. Well, I'll be standing by, and if any of the commissioners have any questions or looking for clarification as to timing issues or urgent or whatever issues, I'd be happy to entertain those as well.
Thank you. Okay, do I...
So, Chairman, you also asked about Mohammedan bank lines. It might look as if we intentionally avoided.
Well, we'll give a feedback, a commissioner comment.
Okay.
So the only change that Commissioner Rajaratnam wants to make is adding Penn's name to line item 2 in staff. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move with that change.
I will second.
Chairman Cox.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Commissioner Yates.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanders.
I'm going to abstain since I was absent.
All right. Commissioner Ferris.
Aye.
4 ayes. Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to line item 6, public comments of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the Commission on matters that are within the Commission's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Planning Commission may not take action on any item that does not appear on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name and address. Do I have anybody from the audience that wishes to address the Commission? As I see nobody coming, we will close the public comment section. Moving on to item 7, a continued public hearing, an abatement of property location at 825 South Sunset Street, APN 479-020-27. Staff report. And I don't think you have to give the whole staff report again.
Okay, in regards to the property located at 825 South Sunset Street, since the last Planning Commission session, which was continued, I have been researching other alternatives where the city would not have to wait until 2021 for the property to be offered at a tax sale, and we would obtain the money back from any abatement I conduct. Receivership was considered. However, it requires a large amount of money up front and could take a year or more before the city recoups its expenditures. Yesterday, I was able to get hold of the Public Administrator's Office, which is a part of the Kern County Sheriff's Office in Bakersfield. The Public Administrator's Office protects and administers the estates of people who pass away without a will or when no one with a higher priority, for example, spouse or parent, is willing or able to act as administrator of the estate. They advised this property was not on their list to consider administrating. However, they did provide a referral form, which I filled out and forwarded to them this morning. Since this property is considered a blight on the community, they stated they would give my referral a higher priority and determine if this property would be eligible for them to administer. The referral will be reviewed and scheduled for an initial investigation next week, and processing the initial intake and investigation is estimated to take a minimum of 30 to 45 days, advising to contact their office after January 3rd to determine if they accept or decline the referral. In the meantime, I request that the resolution I provided the last meeting be approved, which includes the boarding up of the back door and windows to prevent breakage, as well as the storage shed in the backyard, repair the back fence to ensure no unauthorized personnel gain access, the removal of roof tile bundles from the roof if deemed safe, removal of all lumber, loose roofing tiles, and any other junk and debris from the backyard, mow the entire front and backyard in order to bring dead grass and weeds down to ground level so it is no longer a fire hazard, and consider spraying the front and backyard with a herbicide to prevent any additional weed growth in the near future.
Any questions from the commission? Do I have a motion to approve the abatement?
So moved.
I'll second.
Chairman Cox,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Rajaratnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Yates,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanders,
Aye.
Commissioner Ferris.
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Going on to line item 8.
Thank you, Officer.
Thank you, Officer Booth. This is a public hearing. This is a recommendation for an ordinance of this City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, amending the Ridgecrest Municipal Code as it relates to commercial cannabis activities. Staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Yes, staff would like to amend our current municipal code to remain compliant for the Prop 64 laws that were enacted in November of 16, which take effect on January 1st of 2018. Our current ordinance, Article 24, currently prohibits any medical marijuana dispensaries or cultivation. And sorry if I start drooling, my mouth is still numb.
You're fine.
We want to amend that Article 24 of the Municipal Code to come up with the newly enacted law, which will prohibit all commercial cannabis activities within the city of Ridgecrest, with an exception to allow medical facilities with the planning, with a special use permit, could administer medical marijuana. It would also, Prop 64 allows legal marijuana, so commercial cultivation and the retail sales, as well as medical, which were covered under Prop 215. However, Under Prop 64, it gives each municipality or jurisdiction, such as county or city, the ability to prohibit certain activities. Some of the activities that we would not be able to permit or to prohibit are people will still be allowed to recreational use within their residence, or if they so choose, and they can still grow 6 plants in there, as well as medical patients can still grow and cultivate and use their medical marijuana in their residences.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
You said you were not allowed to prohibit that?
We are not allowed to prohibit
Okay.
that, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
But there are conditions such as they can't distribute,
Correct.
okay? It's for personal in-house use.
Yep.
Earlier today, the Board of Supervisors voted to ban the commercial activities within the county, the unincorporated areas of the county, with a 4-to-1 vote, as well as I talked to Mr. Suver at the hospital, and he is in agreement with the staff's recommendation and is also willing to listen and possibly venture into the medical marijuana within the medical facility for those patients that need it, because it does have some value with some studies that most of us are aware of. It does help with certain illnesses. So with that, the staff is recommending to the Planning Commission to, the other thing is the CEQA. We need to obtain a CEQA waiver that will be sent to the county, and we believe that there will be no environmental impact as a result of this ordinance, because we are also banning any outdoor cultivation. The only cultivation they can do are their 6 plants in the private residence or a structure on their property, such as medical, if they need to.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You said in their private residence, does that mean it has to be in the home or just on their property?
In the home.
Right, in the home or the curtilage of their property. So if they were to
Correct.
build a small greenhouse, let's say,
Okay.
or a shed, they could do it in there as well.
Okay.
Is that correct, Colin?
That would be considered curtilage.
Okay, thank you.
So on CEQA, is that not just a declaration of basically a non-impact? It's not petitioning
What it
the
is,
county?
I heard, I believe that, was that Mr. McLaughlin talking just now?
Yes.
I'm at a bit of a disadvantage.
Yes.
Yes, I heard him use the phrase waiver. Technically, what we're going to be filing is a notice of exemption.
Yes.
There are numerous exemptions, CEQA exemptions, that apply to this particular activity. There also, CEQA permits the stacking of exemptions. In other words, you can be duplicative and use multiple exemptions under CEQA, which this particular proposed ordinance would do. The bottom line is that there is no reasonably foreseeable effect on the environment, because in fact we're not permitting anything. We're essentially maintaining the status quo as far as effect on the environment. So it's not a waiver technically. It's not a mitigated negative declaration. The term of art, the specific document we'll be filing, is called a notice of exemption.
Any other questions from commission for staff?
Could I also
Yes. Yes.
also say that the city council on September 6th of this year voted unanimously to author a letter to the Kern County Planning Commission recommending banning all commercial cannabis activities within in unincorporated areas.
I just want to thank the staff, especially Chief Jed Laughlin, for doing the background work and providing all the information so that we are well informed before we take a decision. So that's really appreciated. And if the law enforcement, if the schools, and if hospitals are want to ban marijuana, I don't see any reason why we should not do that. And for me, it's a quality of life. It's a public safety issue. So the other aspects people talk about getting tax income and all. So that I want to put the public safety in front of all other things. So when I weigh the pros and cons, I would go with the decision to ban the commercial cultivation of marijuana in Ridgecrest.
Yes, and as you know, there are lots of reports out there, some of which I provided. The HIDA reports out of Washington and Colorado are extremely disturbing. California already leads the nation in alcohol-related deaths and incidents. I don't think we need to add to that number with the increase of marijuana on the streets.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
I'll just echo those statements. This really is a very informative and well put together report. I really do appreciate all the info you gave us. Thank you very much. I agree 100% with what's in this proposed ordinance. I think this is exactly where we need to be. I think this is very representative of what Ridgecrest would want as well. So thank you.
Any other commissioner questions or comments?
I just have one question. It came to my mind. What if they are smoking outside their house? So how does that affect the CEQA and all?
Well, if I may, it does not impact CEQA. What it does do is, and this is a little bit arcane, but it depends on whether the person who is smoking it as a medicinal cannabis user or an adult use cannabis user. And the distinction is because under California law, for medicinal, there are differences in how and where you can smoke it. Again, if it's let's say it's in the curtilage of their house, which typically means in a structure or even in the confines of a fenced-in area, say the backyard, that would be permissible. Now, if they're out in, say, the sidewalk, that would not be.
Okay,
That would
thank
be
you.
considered public?
That would, yes, sir.
Okay. So who would be enforcing this? Do we have, like, the code enforcement officer would be enforcing the ban, or?
Right.
Well, as far as the indoor cultivation for personal use, again, it has to be personal use, indoor cultivation, 6 plants or fewer, and the cultivator must be 21 years of age. That particular type of cultivation is still subject to certain regulations. And yes, you can't, change the electrical configuration of a residence, for example, that is in violation of existing building code regulations. And so depending on the nature of the violation, it could be code violation officers, or it could be police. If someone's violating a penal code section, then it would be a police officer. So it really kind of depends on the nature of the violation.
Thank you.
For example, if you're trafficking and by the way, the new legislative scheme, the new kind of overarching rubric, they've changed it. They don't use the word marijuana anymore. It's all cannabis now. And if someone were to be using or trafficking in cannabis illegally, well, that would seem, depending on the circumstances, that would likely be the purview of the police department. But if someone has brought in special lamps or generators into their home, that would be more likely a code enforcement officer.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, and Colin, you could correct me if I'm wrong, this is the most restrictive law or ordinance that we can do.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. Yes, that is the fact is that there are certain the state legislature has allowed local municipalities to regulate up to a point. There are certain things that they have not permitted local municipalities to outright strictly prohibit. For example, as I mentioned earlier, 21 and older, 6 plants in a residence for personal use, but we can still regulate. We just can't outright prohibit it. We can't do a strict ban. Similarly, with the inside a medical facility or hospital that's received a special use permit, you cannot outright ban that. The proposed ordinance walks right up to the line and bans. It is as strict as the state law permits. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
What is the violation? I mean, is this a misdemeanor?
Right. Our municipal codes are misdemeanors. And then code enforcement, also, they're misdemeanor. They fall under the same thing. He has different things that he can do as well, red tagging, different things as far as, depends on how bad it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And if I may interject, Chief, in my experience, and I defer to you on this, but I just want to throw out there the possibility that some of these things might not even rise to the level of misdemeanors and might instead be infractions. But if I'm wrong on that, again, I defer to you.
Right, that is correct.
Any other questions from the commission? Before I turn this over to the community for community comment, the rules of this particular section is limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this subject? Seeing nobody interested in commenting at this time, I would propose that we approve the resolution 17-17, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Ridgecrest, recommendation of the City Council to approve the proposed commercial cannabis activities ordinance with Exhibit A. You guys are familiar with the Exhibit A, which says Notice of Recommendation. Do I have a second?
A second.
Chairman Cox,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Rajaratnam,
Aye.
Commissioner Yates,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanders,
Aye.
Commissioner Ferris.
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Moving on, discussion of other action items. Do we have any other action items that need to be discussed? Commissioner items, committee reports. Start with Mr. Ferris.
I attended the ICSC show with Ms. Lindsay Stevens and our new economic director. Made some very good contacts there, and we're looking forward to seeing some development in the future in Ridgecrest because of it. So,
Okay.
very good contact.
Mr. Sanders.
Infrastructure Committee is meeting this Thursday on 2 days at 5 p.m. It's been about a full month since our last meeting, so quite honestly, I don't remember. Oh, at 4, thank you. And I'm the one that changed it. At 4 p.m. So if you're listening,
Thursday.
please don't come at 5 on, yeah, it's at 4. Do you remember, Warren, what we talked about in the Infrastructure Committee?
Some of the things we talked about, the progress of the new sewer plant, and where we're sitting in the contract negotiations with the Navy, and whether or not that's happening in a timely fashion. And
We went over the list of streets that are going to be paved.
we did get a report from that, but we also had that report here from Lauren.
Yeah.
Last time as well. Told us some of the projects that they were working on. We asked about the down project and where we are with SCE, and that SCE has all the engineering done, and so they're putting in the works to start moving poles and things of that nature. So,
Do we know when that's going to start?
What's that?
When they're going to start moving those poles on dams, or is that?
I saw them out there working today. You know, they dance to their own tune, interesting enough. So we also talked about building inspector. some of the problems that we're having here in the community presently and how it's affecting economic development as well. And Mr. Culp, do we have any information as far as where we're thinking we're heading between last month's and this month's?
We're going to have a meeting with the developers, a general meeting with developers and a contractual inspection and plan check firm on November 1.
Thank you. Colin, we can excuse you now on our agenda.
Okay, very good. And if you need me, I'm reachable by my cell phone through my office in case anything comes up.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good night.
Cecil?
City org, Mr. Razaretti.
Solomon?
City Org met on October 10th, and one of the important things we talked about is 4 projects. We gave a in-concept acceptance for the 4 projects, and that went to City Council last time, so that was approved to move forward. And then we also talked about having a workshop to discuss about short-term and long-term city objectives. And then we wanted to have, I think, the property taxes continue on the agenda. So that's it. And our next meeting is second Tuesday of next month again.
Well, I gave the mayor an item to work on in City Org, so I imagine she might get it on the agenda. We'll see.
Sure.
So
We don't have enough work, so we'll take it.
thank you. If there's any future items that you're aware of, we need to share those on commissioner comments. I wanted to just give a couple of comments. One was last month we had a gentleman that lived adjoining a bank, Mission Bank, and he was concerned about the lights and that shine into the parking lot. And so I went out after our meeting. It was dark. It was 7:30 or something like that. There weren't any lights on. And so I contacted an individual at the bank and I said, you might check your timer if it's on a timer. Those were reset and they looked at the lights and adjusted them. I drove out again. I found no residual light contamination that was going into the neighborhood, with or without leaves on the trees. The desert was dark going north. And so I felt it was completely appropriate. So I followed up and went through it. I know Solomon followed up and went through it. So that's the feedback to our public that requested us to look at that. So I want to thank staff for the report and their diligence on this matter so that we can send this up to the City Council. And I want to thank you for your service. Heather, for your service and your hard work. I know that there were some last-minute changes and things that went on. And Penn, yours too. I know that you're on the learning curve too, and you're doing a great job. So we appreciate your efforts too. Lauren, thanks for coming, and our Chief Officer McLaughlin, Chief McLaughlin, for his time here this evening as well. So, are there any other commissioner comments?
That there would be a lot of I'm sorry, did I jump in?
The time is yours.
Okay.
Officer.
I mean, I thought I'll see a lot of people here commenting for both for and against the ban, but I was surprised to see none here in the public today.
Come to the City Council meeting in a week.
Yeah, I too was looking for a lot of public here, but I think it's important that, and I think the chief mentioned it. It's important. It's on record that the public, the general public, understand we are enforcing this as strictest as we can. I know there's a lot of concerns out there for people that are against it and some that are for it, but we can't go against state law. So I think it would behoove us to do what we did for our city. So thanks for everyone's involvement in putting that together.
Jim? Any comments?
So the whole thing about legalizing cannabis was, I had an interesting experience at the fair, let's say a year ago. Yeah, it was last year. I was thinking maybe 2 years, but no, it was just 1 year ago. This lady came up to me, and I was campaigning at the time, and she says, "What's your stance on medical marijuana?" I said, "Well, I kind of hemmed and hawed, and well, I've heard this and I've heard that, and I don't really know. It's nothing I've ever looked into." And she basically said, "Well, look, I'm a medical marijuana user, and this is my story." And it was a totally different perspective that I've ever heard before. And I asked her, I said, "Well, how do you feel about the proposal to legalize recreational marijuana?" She said, "I'm absolutely against it." I was like, "What?" Why is that? And she says that, well, it totally detracts from, the medical purposes. It makes it into this recreational thing that people, despise and dislike, and it just kind of ruins it for the people who actually need it for medical purposes. So I feel really good about what we're doing. I think this is the right ordinance for Ridgecrest. And as much as I absolutely dislike the law that was passed, what's done is done. We can't do anything about that. So thank you to the staff for all your hard work, and to all my fellow commissioners. Good night.
Thank you. Phil?
I echo the same sentiment as most of or all the commissioners, really. Thank the chief for all the hard work, because we were sent a lot of information to process. I do see the value, like Jim was talking about, for the medical purpose of this, and I think that this allows for that leadway. And so I think that we're absolutely doing what's correct. So.
I've seen some reports, where there are legitimate medical needs. My brother-in-law, who has since passed away, had medical marijuana, and it was for PTSD. He really didn't want it, but it was that or be drunk. And, he just wanted to be numb. And so there are people that suffer from pain and from other things, and this seems to help. I always would tease him a little bit and say, I'm not sure that that's a good reason to have it, but there are some legitimate reasons out there. And I think with the hospital having the ability to come and get a special use permit, and I think there's enough caveat there to allow for those that are in legitimate need to have the ability to get the help that they need. So I too think this is a good thing. So if there is nothing else, staff items?
Just a couple items. So next month, I think we'll be ready to present the hospital expansion project. I think, Lauren. We're meeting with the hospital sometime next week, and then we'll iron out some issues. And we also have a tentative track map extension that we'll be presenting next month. And right now, I can't think of any other items, but I'll let you know.
Lauren, what happened to, is it Arby's?
Yeah, we haven't heard from that applicant. I'm not certain what their final decision has been.
I heard.
They might have had some more recent conversation.
I heard they closed the escrow, so.
This store?
Escrow.
Oh, escrow. Okay. And the Starbucks,
We
and,
ironed.
Pizza Hut?
Right, we ironed out some issues today. They had issues with one of the conditions, so we're finding middle ground. So we all win. So they're moving ahead with that project, and they're going to start construction on the interior on November 1st.
Yeah, they have their sign up already.
Okay, and what's happening with Walmart?
We are preparing a staff report. It looks like we're waiting for Walmart's attorney to give us the okay. They're wanting to take care of some title issues for easements on the site and take care of some issues with some of the utilities have objected to abandonment of some of the easements. And so they are trying to take care of the utilities concerns and the title concerns relative to those easements.
Okay.
So as soon as we have them, they're okay, we'll be presenting that.
Well, part of that is going from 3 to 4 parcels, isn't it, because of the easements?
Well, we asked them what do they want to do because of that additional parcel that was going to be an issue. And so they are huddling up, seeing if they want to pursue that or not.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. I just like to follow up on those things that we've actually had come in here and we've heard. So if there's no other items, I'll call us adjourned at 6:37.